It's a Conspiracy is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network powered by ATB. For a list of other fun programming, please check out the albertapodcastnetwork.com, where you can find shows like the Mess Hall Podcast.
It's a conspiracy!
Welcome back, everyone, to It's a Conspiracy. This is the podcast to relate the beliefs behind select conspiracy theories, alternative accounts, legends, myths, and more. I'm your host, Andrew, and I do not claim to be an expert on anything we're going to discuss today, and will probably be wrong about everything as usual, because who knows what lies in the hearts of men? Who knows? It's hard. It's a hard thing to know the heart. You know, it's hard. Yeah, the shadow knows, but yeah, I'm not the shadow. If you'd like to see where we dug up whatever salty snacks we're going to discuss today, then please check out the resources in the episode description. Charlie slathers up those pretzels with care, and it's upon you to take a look. Also, we are a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. Yay, team.
Hey, team.
You can check us out online at our website, it'saconspiracypodcast.com. Our Twitter, Is It a Conspiracy? That's run by the Irish Madman. Our Facebook group, the Instagram page, It's a Conspiracy Podcast. That's run by Gorgeous Greg. Our email and our Patreon page, patreon.com/It's a Conspiracy. Joining the the appropriate amount of distance communication time via Zoom today is Charming Charlie and our friend Owais Siddiqui. We got a special guest with us today, and these beautiful faces will interject as they see fit, and I appreciate their far social presence, albeit over a computer monitor. And we don't even have video this time; we're just audio, so it's close off.
Real old time.
Yep.
Not for the lack of trying, I must say.
We're just figuring it out. This whole we got the audio. That's the important part. It's real nice to get to do this with you guys, and I'm real happy we get to. So, Owais, this is your first time on the show, I believe.
It is. Yes. Thank you for having me.
You're very. I'm so glad we got to work this out here, and we're going to talk about Ramadan. Now, ready then, Charlie? And Charlie, it's nice to see you too. It's always
thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Just a real nice.
It's nice to be seen.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice when things are nice, isn't it?
Yeah, go back.
Now, Charlie, with a yes or no, can you tell me if you're familiar with any of these things?
Lay it on me.
What, why, how, when is Ramadan?
I don't know.
Number 2, some fun facts about Ramadan, maybe 10.
I also don't know, maybe 10 times.
Okay. Number 3, Ramendan and the FSM.
Nah, I don't know any of these things.
Okay. Pretty much across the board, you don't know. Okay. All right, here we go. I should clarify that I don't know either. So subject number 1, what, why, how, when is Ramadan? So we've got our friend Owais here to tell us a little bit about himself and about Ramadan, basically what started it, what it celebrates, how it's celebrated, and whatever else he's in the mood to share. So, hit us up, man. Let's hear what you got.
All right. Well, Ramadan is a month in the Islamic calendar, and the Islamic calendar is a lunar-based calendar. And more specifically, it is the 9th month. And at one point in time, the use of this calendar was made by a variety of different cultures and societies prior to the 19th or prior to the 18th, 19th centuries, before the Industrial Revolution and whatnot. But in our day and age now, it's largely used for religious observations, such as Ramadan. And the beginning of each month is preceded by the sighting of the new moon. So in the evening when the new moon is sighted, the following day is when the month actually begins. During those 29 and 30 days, people of the Islamic religion, those who follow the Muslim faith, they abstain from eating or drinking anything, including water. They also abstain from smoking, and they also have to abstain from sexual intercourse until from sunrise to sunset. And after that, they can break their fast through a light meal and then engage in those activities. But throughout the course of those 29 to 30 days, Muslims are also required to be more mindful about their 5 regular prayers that are performed daily, as well as giving more to charity, being more mindful of our behavior, manners, not being governed by emotional impulses, particularly anger or sadness, to be a lot more forthcoming about the goodwill that we want to try to demonstrate and distribute among our families or communities in society in general.
That sounds really cool. And it's 30 days.
29 or 30 days, depending on the cycle of the phase of the moon, yes.
So the sun goes down and you can like have a little snack, or you can just like eat a whole bunch?
More or less. Basically, the breaking of the fast begins. It's initiated with the recital of a short prayer first, and then we permit ourselves something to eat. And also, the month of Ramadan is followed by an evening prayer service called Tarawih, in which 1/30th of a section of the Quran is read in prayers that are specifically designated towards the evening prayer for the month of Ramadan for the purpose of Tarawih as well. So in those 30 days, the entire Quran would be recited with additional prayers in conjunction to the 5 daily prayers that Muslims are required to observe.
You know, this is a bit off topic, but I've got to ask now, when you were describing the lunar calendar, it popped into my head that a lot of the countries, Muslim majority populations, there's moons in the flags. Like there's like the crescent moon in a lot of these flags. Is that like related to this in any way?
Oh, no. See, the crescent moon, in fact, as far as an icon goes, it's a culturally ubiquitous icon that had been utilized by a variety of different societies throughout history. The Persians really made quite extensive use of that particular crescent moon and star icon as well. So did various Hindu societies from previous ages. The more it expanded out of the Arabian Peninsula, the more it adapted and amalgamated with the heritage and the culture and the traditions of the surrounding societies as well. So it's it'd be erroneous to think that Islam as it's practiced today would be the same as it was practiced in 6th, 7th century Arabia, considering the variety of different ethnicities, cultures, societies, languages, traditions that have otherwise been interwoven into the tapestry of what Islamic society has now become today.
So in terms of how it's celebrated, like did you grow up, I guess celebration seems like an odd word for this, like how it's like this seems like a process, like a time of reflection, how it's observed.
As a matter of fact, Ramadan is considered to be celebrated. It's a time of year that Muslims very much look forward to. They look at it as a time of blessing. We consider it a blessing for ourselves to be healthy enough to undergo a willing fast. No one should be compelled to perform a fast, and there are exemptions to the fasting process as well. For instance, individuals who are either sick or prone to sickness or taking medications, then they are legitimately exempt from observing the fast because the fast isn't supposed to interfere negatively with an individual's health. And when practiced properly, in fact, it can help contribute towards helping to modify metabolism after the reset of the fasting period.
So did you do this when you were a kid, like when you were growing up?
I did at one point in time, but then in and around high school, when I was roughly around maybe 14, 15-ish, I began experiencing dizzy spells and would run out of energy, would be very irritable. And it was at that time that the imam that I was interacting with, he suggested that if it's something that is more detrimental, if fasting for lengthy periods of days, upwards of, so often 14, 16 hours days, especially as a high school student at the time, if it's something that is detrimental to your ability to focus or perform well in school or anything like that, then it's probably better to exempt yourself from this particular obligation. And from then on, it just seemed to make sense because there shouldn't be any compulsion in faith. Faith is something that, as much as people want to say faith is something that is true, faith is a trust So if you trust something is beneficial for you, then it needs to be able to make the benefit tangible in some area. Even if it isn't apparent, it still nevertheless has to be tangible. If that benefit isn't tangible, then we have every right to question the purpose of whatever practice or that we want to engage into as a result.
Oh, right on. And, and I got to ask, man, I'm sort of sticking mainly with food in the term of fasting. Was there a specific kind of food that you would eat during Ramadan that would be like, hey, it's, this is like the special thing that we have just this time of year when the sun goes down and you're like, okay, here you go. Here's your special thing. Like, is there anything like that specifically unique to that?
Well, not necessarily specific to Ramadan by itself, but a food that is associated with the Prophet Muhammad, which then by extension is the date fruit, in fact. The date. During Ramadan, the date is often the first food that many Muslims break their fast with. It's often the first food that they start their fast with, initiate their fast with. And due to its sweet nature, it's something that is distributed amongst friends as chocolates, similarly to how chocolates would be during either Christmas or Easter or anything like that. Dates just so happen to be very high in fiber, very calorie dense. They go hand in hand with whatever nutrients might be depleted throughout the day while you're fasting as well. So date sales really do go through the roof during Ramadan.
That's really cool, man. Yeah. Well, that's going to take us to ad number 1.
Hey, I'm Tara McCarthy. I work at CBC Edmonton, and there's a lot of things that happen in this city any given week. So we thought, how about we boil it down to some of those top stories, the ones that make you think, or the ones that maybe even make you laugh, maybe they make you cringe. So we're putting together a new podcast called The Loop. Check it out weekly through CBC Edmonton. The Loop, you might be wondering, okay, what's this all about? Well, it is literally about keeping you in the loop. More importantly, it's all about going behind the scenes. All sorts of details, I see it every day in the newsroom, don't actually make it into those compact radio and television pieces that you see and that you hear. So we thought we'll take stories like these and we're going to find out more. We're going to talk to the reporters about some of the things like how they even found out about this stuff. We'll talk a little bit about everything, politics, we'll throw some arts in there, community, of course. It's about all things Edmonton. Because there's always more to tell. There's always more to the story. I've been in Edmonton for about a year, and I see stories just constantly change. They ebb and flow. I'm learning new things about the city all the time. And maybe you've been here for decades, but there's always new things that we can uncover. So we want to talk about those stories right here on The Loop. Stay in the loop with us, our new weekly CBC Edmonton podcast. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts, or more importantly, through your CBC Listen app. I feel like I have something in my tooth. Thank God it's a podcast.
Okay, here's subject number 2. 10 fun facts about Ramadan. Okay.
You're really sticking with that 10 fun facts theme, aren't you?
Yeah, I was just going to say that there might not be 10, but there's always fun, right? Actually, I didn't number these. We'll see how many there are. Okay, here we go. Yeah, once again, Owais, just chime in whenever, if something, especially if I got it wrong.
Anytime
heaven
Andrew
forbid.
says something wrong.
Yeah, just be like, bing, here we go. While Ramadan, am I saying that right, by the way?
Ramadan, yeah.
Okay.
The D is a kind of an inflected D that is pronounced with the tongue between the upper and lower teeth. Ramadan.
Ramadan. Done. Okay, I'll try my best here. Tip of the tongue to the top. While Ramadan means a month of fasting, dietitians actually see an increase in diabetes cases and weight gain due to overeating once the sun goes down. So watch out for that cheesy binge, friends. If a person dies during Ramadan and hasn't completed his or her fast, whoever is in charge of their affairs is required to continue the fast on their behalf, usually after they've completed their own fast. Talk about revenge from beyond the grave, right? So, yeah, just so I know this here. So if you're fasting and for some reason you make me in charge of your affairs and you die, I have to finish your fast for you.
Many of these rules are something that I find quite amusing myself as well, because these edicts, they come to be known as fatwas in our society, get kind of tossed around and used as a term of something that, as a royal decree, kind of, it has had been ordained kind of declaration. Right. And it really isn't what it is. What the fatwa is the laws in Islamic society are usually arbitrated between those two sources first, and then the understanding of the cleric is applied before they come to these verdicts. Many of these fatwas they used to be very vociferously challenged in pre-industrialized Islamic society because Islamic society was a lot more open to debate amongst itself. After the Industrial Revolution, after colonialism, and after various governing bodies tried to compete with each other, but nevertheless had to mitigate their ability to act in society through former colonial powers, their ability to make verdicts was largely contingent on whom they were able to favor. So many of these fatwas, likewise, they're in our times, and not just in our times, but often in various other politicized times, made and declared, these verdicts were declared in order to appease a certain community group, or say a lobby group, or an organizational group, if you will, being able to sit down and have a discussion about it. That doesn't happen anymore because the elitism that exists in the religious circles as they happen to be established.
Muslims are not allowed to chew gum during Ramadan, and some countries have even made this illegal on pain of fines and incarceration. I have it written here. What Chew gonna do about it? There we go.
The gum thing is something I have to kind of agree on the fact that, we're prevented from being allowed to chew it, even though you don't swallow it. It doesn't provide any nutrients. Brushing your teeth, on the other hand, is perfectly allowed. So there shouldn't actually be any further excuse for bad breath or bad oral hygiene, even if you don't have an excuse for bad breath.
I'm glad that the brushing your teeth is in there, because that's a month of no brushing.
But chances are these laws are in place because they're, a cash cow. Right? So it's like high-speed radar in areas that you'll see many people just kind of fly by because that's the driving within that particular intersection or whatnot. They're easy to be able to enact, and it lets authority do what authority would do.
They got to fill those quotas.
Children are not obligated to fast. It is not compulsory for children to fast until they reach puberty, but some choose to observe it in preparation for their adulthood. So like you can do it if you want when you're a kid, but also like the thought of all those hungry kids. Oh boy. Especially for a month. That is intense. Number 5, breaking the fast unintentionally attracts no penalty. So we use this term in our pandemic special where you might have an snacksident. And it's like, hey, it's okay, you didn't mean to, and that's when you get out the old like, I tripped and like a bag of chips went in my mouth, that kind of thing, and so I can
fell on a chip.
Yeah, I fell on a chip. I fell on a cheeseburger. I couldn't help myself. Right. Even though the practice is enforced by law in a number of countries around the world, and when you were talking about, there's ways to get around this, but individuals are encouraged to discontinue their Ramadan fast if it threatens their overall health. But if it's done right, like you said, fasting can be really good. Now, there's a word here, this last one here, which I think would be number 6. So I guess we had 6 fun facts. However many we had. This is EIDULFIT. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Eid ulFitr.
Oh, Eid ulFitr.
Eid ulFitr. Okay, and that's a large festival celebrated to mark the end of Ramadan. It begins the moment when the new moon comes out. Muslims celebrate with family and friends, prepare large meals, and donate to charity so that poor people can also celebrate. Oh, this whole thing is just sounding really great. Yeah. Let's get together with the family and then help out some poor people at the same time. That really does sound nice. So what's going to be eaten at Eid al-Fitr? Like what's going to be the big meal for family and friends at that time?
The funny thing is that quite often we would imagine a large, elaborate meal with all kinds of tables and chairs that are been set up around it. Now, meals like that do occur, but they're not necessarily what everybody prepares for. What most people prepare for is that in the process of visiting our family and friends, numerous families can end up being visited in a day. I'm talking upwards of anywhere from maybe 3 or 4 to as many as a dozen or more. And it's impractical to have to stop and have a full meal at every single person's house that you stop at, least of all because of the time, and most of all because human stomach only has so much capacity, even mine, right?
Yeah.
the meals that happen near the end of the day, usually the families will prepare their own favorite meals. There isn't a specific Eid dinner type of meal, such as, say, there's a Thanksgiving turkey or a Christmas goose. Families will arrange for their own specific meals, but throughout the days, the fare would largely be a lot of snack type items and finger foods, hors d'oeuvres, a lot of like samosas or pakoras, a lot of dumplings, a lot of variety of different types of salads or fantouche, things that are easy to kind of pick up and eat. That way you can always have a bite to eat from at every house that you visit, but you also don't have to stuff yourself to the point where you have to deny the host of the next place that you visit, or then you won't be able to have dinner afterwards either. And, kind of moving around from place to place, you can realistically only commit roughly about, I'll be honest, between half an hour to 40 minutes at every single person's house. And then, of course, if you're hosting yourself, then you're not really doing a lot of visiting rather than hosting. So you're largely in one place. So you're always on the move, just replenishing the snack items that had been eaten throughout the day as well. So it's a rather busy type of day. Everybody's moving around doing something. But the larger meals, they're usually arranged either by a cultural organization or religious organization, either at a mosque or at a hall. Mm-hmm. But everybody's busy eating something as a result.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Making me hungry. Just talking about this here.
Samosas, yeah.
Oh man. Oh, and I've had dinner with Owais and his family before, and the food was phenomenal. So I just couldn't stop thinking about that, man. Like that was, we got to do that again once this whole thing is lifted. Yeah. And I was hoping to when we were first talking about this, I was hoping to get to do it like at the right time, like time it at sunset or something like that. And actually like be like, okay, sun's down, let's eat something and talk about that whole thing. And this cursed COVID just wrenches in the wheels of a podcast. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to take us to ad number 2.
This episode is brought to you by Park Power, a provider of electricity and natural gas in Alberta that offers low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities. Park Power is a small local business, and like many of you, it has been closely monitoring the news on COVID-19 and the world's rapidly changing circumstances. While many of their team are currently working remotely, the way Park Power does business has not changed, and their commitment to exceptional customer service will remain. Find out more about Park Power's response to the COVID-19 outbreak at parkpower.ca.
Somebody touch my spaghetti!
Yeah, have you two ever heard of Ramendan?
I've never heard of Ramendan.
It's part of the FSM. It's better known as the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Charlie, you familiar with the Flying Spaghetti Monster?
I've never heard the initials, but I've heard of him. Yes.
Okay. Well, it's becoming, that's a mouthful. Flying Spaghetti Monster, literally. There are 2 contrasting explanations for how the Pastafarianism, officially known as the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, how they came about. Number 1, an invisible monster that looks to the small human mind like a bunch of spaghetti noodles and 1 or 2 meatballs kind of lumped together, created the universe one day during a drinking binge and was worshipped by pirates for hundreds, if not thousands of years before becoming mainstream via the internet. So that's theory number 1. Number 2, a student named Bobby Henderson in Oregon, and I always feel like I'm saying that word wrong, Oregon? I don't know. Student named Bobby Henderson in Oregon or Oregon or however you say it, wrote to the Kansas Board of Education in 2005 to protest the teachings of things like intelligent design alongside evolution in public schools. So Henderson perhaps unknowingly suggested that the rationale for teaching intelligent design could be applied to, a flying spaghetti monster might have created the universe and you just, that could be taught as well, the monster. And so out of that, at the same time as the pirates becoming mainstream, we have what are called as the Pastafarians. So the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster differs somewhat from a lot of other religions in that there aren't any funds collected, there are no buildings, no hierarchy, and the only real law is a set of 8 commandments, which are known as condiments, known as the I'd really rather you didn't. You guys both have such lovely, lovely voices. And I thought, here we go. Let's get you to read some of the commandments of the...
Yeah, I'm number 1? Okay.
Yeah.
I'd really rather you didn't act like a sanctimonious ass when describing my noodle goodness. Is that all right for you?
That's good, man. That's very good. That's very judicial.
Okay, number 2. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. I'd really rather you didn't use my existence as a means to be mean to others. I don't require sacrifices, and purity is for drinking water, not people.
Oh. Speaks to my heart, man. Purity is for drinking water, yeah. So here is an artist's rendition of the majestic flying spaghetti monster. And once again, this will be on our Instagram page. So go ahead and go check it out. And it is absolutely just breathtaking. Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
Ta-da.
The Michelangelo.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful.
It's a real work of art. Look at
that's
those
good.
meatballs. They're juicy.
You and your juicy balls. You just love a juicy ball.
Juicy meatballs. If you're going to have a meatball, have a good juicy meatball. No one likes a dried out, crusty ball.
No, absolutely not.
Meat.
A little juice in there.
Yeah, dry balls are not fun for anybody.
That's all right.
So there are a number of holidays that are roughly appropriated in the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. They are roughly appropriated from existing holidays. Pastafarians celebrate a slightly tweaked version of Christmas. Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Passover, I believe it's called Pasta Over, and Ramadan, which they have retitled Ramendan. Ramendan is marked by celebrants abstaining from all foods with the exception of ramen noodles in an attempt to know the plight of college and university students who are unable to prepare anything for themselves. True adherents to this holy day adorn themselves in proper pirate attire. So just the pirate attire right there. Like that's
So it's only for one day, or is it for an entire month?
It doesn't say how long, but I'm going to go with a month. Because that's going to be your body.
If it's a derivative of Ramadan, then we observe our fast for 30 days. I think that you'd have to be required to dress up as a pirate for 30 days.
Yeah, man.
It's not up to me to dictate what those requirements are to the respective members of a different faith. But
and I'd say no gum, absolutely not. Brush your teeth, but no gum. And
okay.
Yep. And you'll
unless you can maybe find soy flavor or wasabi ramen. Yeah, wasabi flavored gum. I think that's as an act of extra virtue.
Sure. Okay. That's a bit of an extension. But if you can find wasabi gum.
Okay. Yeah. If you can find wasabi gum, that's all you can shoot.
I'd say with that, the other thing is that it's going to be hard to know when and when not to put your pirate stuff on. So it kind of sounds like maybe when the sun goes down and you're at home that it's pirate time. And if you're trying to hold down a job, then maybe you should go to work dressed not as a pirate. Like once you're home and the sun's down, it's pirate time. Yeah.
We all gotta make sacrifices for our faith. I mean,
Right.
I know that when I'm being profiled in airport security, that I don't have a choice. I'm going to be whatever they associate me to be according to how I carry myself. Pastafarians want to carry themselves with the legitimate integrity that is required of anybody professing the integrity of their faith, and they're required to swallow their pride and be pirates at work for the allotment of those 30 days.
Somebody touch my spaghetti!
Well, wasn't that fun? Isn't learning wonderful? It sure is. You can check out all of our past casts and social media stuffs at it'saconspiracypodcast.com. And we will be back on June 1st with another big bag of potatoes. I was going to say what episode we're on for June, but our numbering system, which Charlie adores and insists on we use, he's
come on.
I have to stick to the number system. So I think we're at number 20 for I'm not sure. So we haven't been numbering these last couple specials. But anywho, we'll be back on June 1st. Please do feel free to rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend, tell your neighbor, tell your foes, spread the good word like fresh avocado on your toast. Hot damn, is that ever good? My wife's been getting into that since this whole thing, and that's just amazing. Yeah, avocado toast. And we still own a house at the same time. I don't know how that happened. Thank you, Owais Siddiqui. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, man. That was really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me. I hope that it just wasn't just one long, droning lecture. And
yeah, fun stuff. Now, how do we? Is there a traditional way to say like Happy Ramadan? Like
Ramadan Mubarak is a rather ubiquitous term. Basically, Ramadan is the name of the month.
Ramadan Mubarak? Is that how I said it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Mubarak just means a term for blessed. So Ramadan Mubarak generally means have a blessed Ramadan, but it's a little bit more expansive in meaning than just that.
Yeah, right on, man. Take care, and let's get through this together.
Bye.
I'm sorry, I won't laugh. I'm going to mute myself because I'm going to laugh. Okay, sorry. Okay, Charlie, go ahead. Whenever.
Bye.
Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a